EKRA. Welcome back to Côte d'Ivoire.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Janine.
What are you doing now after your time at Afreximbank? And what's your new life and your new expectations regarding Africa?
Well, first of all, let me thank you for having me here. As you are aware, I'm always pleased to talk about Africa, more about Africa than myself. But as a way of introduction, I spent about 40 years of my life in banking in Africa. First in commercial banking, then in a multilateral financial institution, which, as you mentioned, is the African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank. Afreximbank was established essentially to promote trade. Trade between African countries and trade between Africa and the rest of the world. And the bank, which is established in Cairo, is developing various instruments to enable Africa to have the important role that Africa should play in international trade. So I was chief executive of the African Export-Import Bank for 10 years, from 2005 to 2015. But before that, for another 10 years, I was executive vice president of the same institution. That is essentially to say that I've spent a lot of my career in banking in Africa.
And now I know that you have a new position.
Because I'm supposed to be retired, but my passion for Africa is such that I continue to provide advice. I serve on various advisory boards and boards of companies that are essentially involved in developing either infrastructure or services in the continent. Among the sectors, I can tell about power, handling services, oil and gas, and also what I like the most, the African Economic Research Consortium, which is to promote economic research in the continent.
Everything you just say, I'm thinking of that you have the best person to tell me right now why a foreign company should be investing in Africa.
The first and most important reason is that Africa is the next frontier. If you look at the world, very few regions of the world are growing at the pace at which Africa is currently growing. Africa growth is about 4 or 5%, when in Europe you are talking about 1–1.5%. But among the 10 fastest growing countries in the world, you have about 6 African countries, including our beloved Côte d'Ivoire, which you mentioned. That is the first and most important reason. Second, Africa has more than 60% of the arable land in the world. And you know the challenge of food, which is a current challenge in the world. You need land, you need arable land. All of this is available in Africa. The third, and not the least, is that Africa has all the minerals that exist on Earth and in abundance. So while certain minerals are in extinction in some other part of the world, you still have a lot in this continent. And finally, the youth of our continent. Africa has more than 50% of the population in Africa is below 35 years old. So you're talking about tremendous opportunities in this continent.
What do you think about investment in Africa coming from Canada, Asia, US, and the rest of the world?
First, I think there is now more complementarity to expect. You see, a country like Canada, for instance, is has a lot of experience in minerals, which is well known in the world. You have some stock exchanges that are essentially dedicated to some of those minerals. Canada itself has also developed a lot of expertise in technology, in information technology, and so on. So I believe that there is a lot that companies that are established in this part of the world, whether Canada or United States of America, even China. And you know, China has been present now in Africa for many years. And as we see things evolving, Africa can play a major role as the back office, as the workshop of the world.
I want to know something that you just mentioned. Is Africa really going to become a workshop of the world?
Definitely, for so many reasons. First, as I mentioned earlier, you're talking about a young population, a young workforce. Second, when you compare Africa with the rest of the world, the cost of manpower is increasing dramatically in other parts of the world, whereas it is only slowly growing in Africa. And third, as I also mentioned, you can rely on innovation in Africa. The youth is actually very, very active, not only in the payment system, in health system. You have so many developments that are happening in terms of information technology. That is why companies like Microsoft, Google, Apple, and so on are developing centers in our continent. It is to take advantage of this youth that is so innovative.
Innovation? Innovation, you are talking about innovation.
Absolutely.
So, can you tell us more? We have amazing people in Africa, and we don't talk enough about those.
Payment system. We are all aware of this big success of M-Pesa, which was developed in Africa. Now, in other parts of the world, they are developing payment system based on telephony, based on mobile telephony. This was developed in Africa, more specifically in Kenya, with M-Pesa from Safaricom. And in other areas of, in agriculture, for instance, today you have people in the countryside that are able to benefit from various services on a mobile phone that were developed in Africa, talking about delivery of their goods, talking about buying inputs, fertilizers, and so on. All of this can be done now from a simple mobile phone. Not to talk about looking at how the weather is going to develop over the future. All of those services are currently available in Africa and were developed essentially by young Africans.
What are the challenges for the continent, in your opinion?
The first challenge, by experience, is infrastructure. It's a real challenge because the total installed capacity of power in Africa is equivalent to the power of a country like Spain. That is to say that there is a lot to do in that particular area. And you know that you can't develop really a basic industry if you do not have sufficient and stable power. So that, for me, is an important challenge. That's why I've accepted to sit on the board of a company that is producing and developing power in the continent. The other thing is that, as you are aware, Africa is a continent that has the largest number of countries. You talk about 55 countries, when you see in Europe, when they have a large Europe, you were talking about 28 countries. So it's another challenge. Many countries in the continent are small in size and population. So it's important that we develop regional integration to enable to have certain economies of scales in the continent. These are tremendous challenges because, as you know, to abandon part of your sovereignty to an international organization is not a straightforward thing. In this context, I'm really pleased to hear about the new Continental Free Trade Agreement that was signed last year in Kigali, which has a lot of promises for our continent.
I want to know how you dream of the future of Africa.
Well, I dream of an Africa that can play on a level playing field with most other continents. I think we have all the attributes and the facilities to achieve that in a shorter period than what the other continents have experienced. If you put African before the real challenges and you let them try to overcome those challenges, they will, particularly the youth and the women.
So, in your opinion, in resume, we can say that Africa got the population, the raw materials, the innovation. What else?
You see, you have to put all of this in music and it will work. Everybody will sing. Africa has all the ingredients that are necessary to experience a very fast growth and a very fast development. Raw materials, whichever minerals or commodities you talk about, is available in Africa. You take West Africa, for instance. 4 countries in West Africa produce about 80% of the cocoa of the world, and very few people are talking about that. You take Ivory Coast, Ghana, Nigeria, and Cameroon. These 4 countries produce more than 80% of the cocoa that is available in the world. And yet you are talking about chocolate from Switzerland, Belgium, and the places where you don't have a single pod of cocoa. So there is a lot of potential. Transforming our economies will help not only Africa, but also the rest of the world.
And we do have the return on investment.
Absolutely. You have no other place of the world where you can expect double-digit return on investment like in Africa. And the environment has been improved. Governance is improving. You're talking about less wars than before, successful elections, and so on. So I think Africa is a place of the future.
Thank you very much, Jean-Louis EKRA, for your time, and we are looking forward to discuss in the near future again about new goals for the African continent.
Thank you very much. Thank you.